Welcome to another episode of the Main Street Spotlight. I'm Republican Main Street Caucus Vice Chair Laurel Lee, and my guest today is one of our Main Street Caucus members, Congressman Greg Murphy of North Carolina. For those just getting to know Main Street, we are a caucus of Republican members who like to get things done. The Main Street Spotlight video series is one way you can meet our members who are fighting for you and making sure Washington works for you. Welcome to the Spotlight, Greg.
Thank you for having me.
Let's dive right in. Let's start, if you would tell me just a little bit about yourself and what brought you to Congress.
I am a surgeon by trade. I've been one for over 30 years, and that's really how I see myself really as more a physician rather than politician. I ended up in Congress about 6 years ago and ended up in the State House a few years prior, totally by accident. Our State House member resigned in the middle of his term, and I got asked to do it. And reluctantly, after some coercion by our state medical society, jumped in. And it's been a wild ride. God opens doors, and it's up to you whether you walk in or not.
Well, tell us a little bit more about your district that you represent. What is it like? What are the big industries there? Tell us about it.
Well, North Carolina does redistricting as an annual event now. And in fact, I've been in Congress now 6 years, and this is the fourth time I've been redistricted. Right now, as it stands right now, I have the Outer Banks and all the coast. It's changing. I'm becoming much more of a central eastern North Carolina district, a lot more agriculture, some business. Camp Lejeune, our Marines are there. Seymour Johnson is also there and part of the new district, our Air Force. So it is a little bit different than before, but I look forward to making new relationships and new friendships as the districts change.
Now, after you were elected to Congress, when you came to Washington, D.C., what is it that made you want to join and be a part of the Main Street Caucus?
You know, I think sadly enough, America sees a lot of dysfunction in Congress, and I think and squarely would blame that on the media. I think our Main Street media loves division, they love drama, and they like that type of chaos. So that's unfortunate. I do believe that 80% of members of Congress really are here to get things done. And I see that with our Main Street Caucus too. These are individuals that don't have to do this job. They come out of their either business background or whatever background they have, and they're people who do things. And this is what Main Street is. Main Street is America. We're not the wingnuts on either side. They bring color to the parties, but really when you look at things to get done, I think that's what Main Street America does.
Well, and I'll tell you, we are so fortunate to have you in particular as a physician to be part of Congress and to be part of Main Street because you bring such valuable insight to so many of the big policy things that challenges that we work on that are facing our country.
Yeah.
And on that note, I'd love to hear a little bit more about your committees and the things that you're working on. So you sit on Ways and Means and Veterans Affairs.
Right.
Tell me about your legislative priorities and what you're working on.
Well, Ways and Means is the biggest committee in Congress. It's the one that's honestly most competitive to get on. We cover trade, tax, and a lot of health care. We did our big tax package this past year that did so many tax benefits for businesses and individuals moving forward. Obviously, as a physician, I have lived health care from the operating room to the bedside to helping run a hospital to being chairman of health policy in our state assembly. And so that is a real ballywick of mine. That is my avenue, trying to make sure that we have affordable, accessible, and highest quality care for Americans in a system that works. You know, we went through Medicaid reform this past year. The last administration, it grew Medicaid rolls 60%. We can't function as this. And so reform is needed. And this is what's happened throughout all the different facets of medicine, through health insurance, pharmaceuticals, hospitals, and physician groups. I say, look, reform is needed for all these so that patients who matter most, that's what's most important.
And what about Veterans Affairs? What are some of your priorities?
Yeah, so, veterans are a huge part of Eastern North Carolina and of my district. I'm a physician. I've taken care of veterans for 35 years. I do a lot with PTSD and TBI. I'm a big fan of hyperbaric oxygen as a healing agent for those people who have suffered from so much from battle injuries when nothing else is working for them. And so I'm really trying to make our VA a system that is accessible for all our veterans and one that really is one that takes care of individuals, especially those most at risk for suicide.
Well, we certainly thank you for that important work, and what a great intersection of your passion for representing our military families and veterans and also your medical knowledge. So now, and here's a fun question. I understand that you actually had an opportunity to meet Mother Teresa. Tell us about that.
Yeah, when I was 20, I actually was thinking I wanted to be a medical missionary for my life. And so for the first time ever left the country, age 20, by myself, ended up in northern India in a leprosy hospital. But in that transit period, when I got to Calcutta, we went through the Sisters of Charity mission, and I met her. Now, when I say I met her, I shook her hand. But for a 20-year-old that never been out of the country, touching a living saint was quite a wonderful thing. I've come to meet many other saints as I've done a lot of other mission work down in Haiti specifically. And so it was a wonderful thing. You meet with somebody who's given their life to God and for taking care of other individuals, which is a great example for the rest of us.
Absolutely. Very inspiring. Well, thank you for your time today, Dr. Murphy. And that's a wrap for today's Main Street Spotlight. Thank you to each of you who are watching. Know that we are fighting for Main Street and for you every day here in Washington.